Hello, AMP Global Youth. How are you? Where are you? Thank you so much for tuning in and turning up this month's frequency, Hope. We are so excited to get started, and we just want to take a second and just shout out frequencies, AMP frequencies. We have begun, we have arrived, it's happening. We are so happy to be launching this project from AMP Global Youth, from us to you, and that you're here and that you're watching, and however many of you there are. We are so happy for you to be joining us. My name is Vanessa, pronouns she, her. I'm very tired. You might not be able to tell. I'm very jet lagged, but I'm also super pumped to be getting started with AMP frequencies, and with such a great frequency like Hope. So Hope is a funny one. It's not what you're expecting, because Hope has got a bit of a kind of definition that I think is mistaken a lot of the time, and is used as an excuse a lot of the time. But hope can be so much more than that warm, fuzzy feeling that we think that hope is. Hope is so much more than that. Hope is about getting your act together and doing stuff that's making hope happen. Okay, so we're on a hype, we're rolling, we're doing this. I'm going to start with a story, okay? I'm going to start with a story. Once upon a time, there was a fella, there was a man, and he was a United States military officer, okay? So he was a soldier. Jim Stockdale, he was captured and tortured for over 8 years during the Vietnam War. He made it out. He survived. And along the way, he had some observations. So herein lies the wisdom and the paradox. While Jim Stockdale was locked away as a prisoner of war, being tortured for over 8 years, he observed that certain types of people were the first to go, i.e. die. He observed that the ones that were the most hopeful, the most optimistic, were the first to go. Now, I hear you say and ask why. How could that be? The frequency of the month is hope. It's interesting, this paradox, and it's really a concept that I want us to grapple with a little bit and to unpack and dissect a bit. Jim Stockdale noticed that the most hopeful, it's quite dusty here, isn't it? Jim Stockdale noticed that the most hopeful prisoners were the first to go, because they would say, I'm going to be out by Christmas, I'm going to be out by Easter, I'm going to be out by Thanksgiving. And Christmas, Easter and Thanksgiving would come and it would go. And these prisoners, these, hopelessly hopeful prisoners, would still find themselves in the same situation. And over time he saw that eventually they died of despair. They died of a broken heart. And this is quite interesting. So what is hope? What is hope? And how can we use it in a positive way so that we don't get so disappointed and discontented that actually we lose hope altogether? Jim Stockdale says that while we have to have our goal in sight and never lose sight of our goal, and always constantly be chasing our dreams, our aspirations, our wishes, our hopes, while we always have to hold that and chase that and never let it go, we also have to ground and root our hope in reality. We have to be able to read the situation and read the reality and understand and accept the obstacles, the challenges, the moments of despair. Understand and accept and embrace those challenges, those obstacles, those pretty crappy parts of life that are barriers and that don't let us get to where we want to go. We have to accept that. And we have to root our hope in that reality. There is no point making like an ostrich and sticking your head in the sand and pretending, wishing, hoping that all of those obstacles and barriers and challenges are just gonna poof, disappear and go away. That's not what hope should be, but it's often what hope is confused for. We're not asking you to be hopelessly stupid about a situation. We're asking you to have strategy, and that's what our frequency of the month, Hope, is all about. actioning hope, having a plan, having a strategy to get you to where you want to be. And that is what is really important. So I want to read a quote. This is a quote by a person who I don't know how to pronounce their name and probably should have looked it up before starting this vlog. However, that's okay. There is no difference between a pessimist who says, "Oh, it's hopeless, so don't bother doing anything," and an optimist who says, "Don't bother doing anything. It's going to turn out fine anyway." Either way, nothing happens. And that is by Yvonne Chouinard. I imagine she or he or they are French. Point being, don't lie to yourself just because of potential embarrassment. Don't be in denial just because you want something so bad. Yeah, we all do, and life can be pretty sucky sometimes, and the universe has a really funny way of cutting us back down to size and letting us know that we still suck at things. So while we can be hopeful, we're also going to fail along the way. We're going to have these challenges, and that's okay. Deal with them. Overcome them. That's what hope is. Overcoming. It's not just sitting. It's chasing. Okay, so I'm going to go into a little bit of theory here to help you come up with your way of chasing your dreams and your hopes and dealing with your fears and those challenges. So there is what is called a hope theory, okay? A hope theory. I'm pretty thirsty. One sec. Okay. Hope theory, right? Okay. Listening? Good, let's go. Hope theory. Hope theory talks about... Perfect triangle. Hope theory talks about designing a triad for yourself. Okay? The triple threat, right? Where you have your goal. Yeah, you have your goal. You have your North Star, where you're always taking steps in that same direction towards, okay? You may have to take a step back. You may have to take a step sideways. You may be able to take those 2 steps forwards, but maybe you do have to take that 1 step back. And that's okay, as long as you're always facing, pointing, and going in that direction. So, this beautiful triad of hope. What hope should be? Your goal. Then you have to create pathways. This is strategy. That's what this is. Strategy. Pathways. Routes, or as North America might pronounce it, routes. Creating these pathways, your blueprint, your roadmap to getting to where you need to be, okay? This is so important. Point being, your goal, which is the top of the triangle, your pathways, which are all the different routes that you can take to get to the pinnacle, right? To get to your goal. So creating those pathways. Now, in order to get to where you're going, you need the energy, the motivation. You need the agency, as this hope theory talks about. The energy, the agency is the love, is the enthusiasm, is the adrenaline, is the drive, is what is inside you that makes you tick, that makes you flow, that makes you chase, okay? And you need to find that, and nobody can give that to you, okay? That's so important. What will make you work 12, 15 hours a day? What is your passion? And that's the triad. That is the triad of hope. That's how hope is meant to work. Hope is not sitting, wishing, waiting. Hope is going, doing, chasing. And that leads me on to my next little bit of advice about hope. Surround yourself, get yourself a support system. Surround yourself with people that motivate you, Surround yourself with change makers, people who are good at making change, people who are good at getting things done, and surround yourself with challenge makers too. So we want motivators, change makers, and challenge makers. What do I mean by challenge makers? People that challenge you, people who push you, people who make you want it that little bit more, or who challenge the way you think about something. And that's why mentors are so great. Not only do they have the experience, but they also have that critical thinking to help you think a bit more strategically. You need that challenge, but you also need a good example of someone doing that. Lots more to talk about, but I wanted to keep it short. We thank you so much for tuning in and turning up the frequency of February of this month. Stay tuned. There is more to come. We have a fantastic interview coming up that you will be seeing in the next week or two. So stay tuned for that. Check out our frequencies page. Check out ampglobalyouth.org and stay with us. Stay tuned. We are building frequencies bigger, better than ever, even though we're right at the beginning of it. So whatever means is, who knows. Point being, keep joining us. We have some fantastic content coming up around our frequencies of 2018, and we are going to keep it live. We're going to keep it lit. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it rocking. So stay with us. Thank you for joining me. Really, really happy to have got the first one done. I was very, very hopeful to get it done today, so I'm really glad that it worked out. And yeah, tune in, turn up, make change louder. Let us know, what are you doing to make change louder? Can I also just say, hope is a wonderful, wonderful thing, and it's useful. It's really, really good for a number of different things. It's really good for resilience, for creativity, for mental well-being, as in mental health. It's really good for health in general, and it's great for productivity. It's wonderful for all of these things. Fantastic. Yay, hope. Whoop, whoop. But it's also really important to remember that hope is a privilege. Hope is a resource that a lot of people don't have for a lot of different reasons. A lot of reasons that might be down to their class, that might be down to their race, that might be down to their gender, that might be down to their sexuality. People can lose hope because of the structural factors and barriers that continue to block them from realizing their dreams, from realizing their goals. So it's really important to remember that hope is a privilege, and we have to be extremely grateful. Hope is for everyone. And we have to remember that there are certain aspects of our global social, political, economic, cultural, and historical system and society that can block and erode people's hope. So that's a really important caveat to bear in mind. Massive big up to London, UK, just arrived about 5 hours ago. So as you can probably tell from my face, I haven't slept much, but big up London. Global Youth, you can be expecting me in different places around the world. Would love to connect with you. Would love to, can you hear the sirens? Yeah, this is London. This is London. I'll just wait. Oh my God. It's so good to be home.